Yo, what is up guys? We're with Harrison today checking out his MR2. And I think this is a really cool car because you don't see too many of them around. And Harrison actually had a really clean S13 that I beat him up about selling it. So I think it's gonna be really important to talk about like why he chose this car over the S13. And yeah, why'd you pick this car, Harrison?
So this is actually my friend's sister owned this car. And I went and shot it. And like, I don't know, I just had a gut feeling that I needed an MR2. There's just something special about the cars. You don't see them that often. I hadn't been exposed to a lot of it, so I like went through trading some cars and ended up owning like two 240s, and that was just like selling those enabled me to buy this car. So.
Sure, and I think the process of you like getting this car is really cool that you happened to buy it from a friend. Yeah. But I think it's really cool to talk about how you got this far because you lucked out on some trades. I really want you to talk about. Yeah, tell them about it.
Okay, so I bought a piece of shit IS300. Motor and transfer out of it. It was like, yeah, I paid way too much for it, in way over my head, and somehow like I bought a 2JZ for that, just like NA, not GT, and then kind of put it in the car, but not really. It was still like not running. Never drove the car, and some dude with a 240 with a Sylvia front was like, "Hey, want a straight trade?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." Like my car's worth like $3 grand. His is
yeah,
like
I remember that.
10, and running and driving. So went from non-running car to a driving car, and then I traded that hatch for black, like 100% stock 240 with pop-ups.
And actually, let's have you pop open those pictures of those cars, just so that people who are watching this video can kind of get an idea of like the condition of those we're in. All right, Harrison's gonna show you guys.
So this is the white hatch with the Sylvia front, if it focuses.
There we go.
It looks good in pictures, but it was a shit box. Had like over fenders that didn't fit really well, none of the panels lined up, like half of the interior was gutted. There was like endless problems with that. And then this was the second one, which I straight traded the white one for this black one. The dude just like didn't want to modify this because it was too nice. And I got really, really lucky. Like even in the engine bay, it was like perfect. There was like brand new hoses and the plastics looked like completely perfect. And there's like, they were not worth the same amount, but it was just right place, right time. I was like patient. I didn't try to get rid of it immediately. Like I had that white car up on Marketplace for like months before anything went through. And it's just like, yeah, if you want to get rid of it quickly, I could have sold that car for like $6 grand, but I waited and got a nicer car. And then I sold that black S13 to somebody that really, really wanted it for 13 grand, which is really, really good. And that allowed me to get this. And I spent like half of that money on this. And like buying it from a friend, you can get really good deals. Like you're not going to find good deals on Marketplace. Everybody on Marketplace is trying to make a buck. So like knowing people, and that's where all the good deals are at. You're not gonna get a deal on Marketplace, but it's a good, like, using Marketplace to trade through cars and just trade up is really good as well. But I just got like really, really lucky. Yeah,
Harrison lucked out, guys. Because you told me how much this costs. Probably not gonna tell the people watching this video, but you probably think it's, I would say like double and a half of the market. What do you think?
So like,
yeah, tell them.
Right now, an MR2 like this would probably be like 7 or 8 grand, maybe 9.
Yeah.
And then when I got it, it was probably like 7 or 8, and I bought it from a friend for 6. So like not like an insane deal, and I didn't want to like completely scam my friend, but it was a lot more like she wasn't gonna sell it to anybody outside of the family except for me. So like I got a really good deal with it, was able to get it off her hands. And it was like one old lady owned it for the entire life, and then she owned it for like 500 miles, something like that. So it was like, still, it's not a perfect car, but I wasn't worried about the reliability, like didn't need to do any maintenance immediately, and like was able to help a friend out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Harrison likes to call it a 10-footer. I think this car is actually really, really clean in person, but he's a little picky. Yeah, but it's good looking. Check it out from this far away. It does look really good. And I really like, my favorite thing about the MR2s is probably the pop-ups. It does look a little bit like an S13, but I feel like this car is so unique looking versus other cars. And Harrison, so for the newbies looking at MR2s, would you have any like, things you could suggest when they're looking at ones, if there's anything like currently wrong with them, or like things that like really are known issues with MR2s?
I mean, not really. They're just old cars, so look for rust. Like, be careful if it's been through like 6 owners and highly modified. Like, there's probably any problems. So finding something that's owned by not a car guy is probably ideal. These came NA and then turbo. I didn't need like an insanely fast car, and NA is just way more reliable. So I went with NA. It's way cheaper as well. Like all the modifications that I wanted to do weren't really around like a turbo platform or going fast, and I'm not going to track it. So saved the buck, just going NA, and got to spend money on wheels and coilovers and the fun stuff, really.
Yeah, and let's give a breakdown just of like everything you've done to this car, because you bought it pretty stock, so all the little modifications you ended up doing yourself.
When I bought it was 100% stock. So I completely ruined this thing.
Slammed by ruin. Yeah, it scrapes a lot, guys. It's static.
It's really like, there's not a lot done to it, honestly. It's just some teen coilovers and then Swiss springs, so just shorter and stiffer springs. SSR has semi-motorsport wheels. I have crash bolts on the top bolt for the knuckle just to get a little bit more camber. So it's like -3.5 in the front and then -3 in the rear. So like super conservative, just like a little bit of stretch. And then beyond that, it's just like little interior stuff, like steering wheel. I've done a lot to the shifter, bucket seat, which bucket seat was also semi-motorsports, which they did a ton of stuff with Skylines in the 90s. So I thought that was way too cool. That seat is actually out of an R33 race car.
Oh, that's awesome. How much did the seats cost?
Seats were, I think, $1,800 for the seat singular.
Damn baller, bro. But the wheels were a pretty good deal, right?
Wheels were also $1,850.
Okay, I feel like that's not bad.
The tires were shot, but I still drove them for a little bit. So
that's not bad for some real wheels. I really like the style too. I've actually never seen anyone else own these wheels besides Harrison.
Yeah, so these wheels are actually SSR Koenig faces, but then Semi Motorsports, they built a few to varying specs, and they were all for either R32 or R33 GTRs. And I'm like, ultimate dream car is R32 GTR, so putting as many like rare Skyline parts on an MR2 is just fun for me.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do in the time being.
Yeah, and like I would rather rep these than like TEs or Workmeisters or whatever. Like you see those all the time, so.
Yeah, exactly. Overrated. Yeah, fuck that car, bro. Fuck the Meisters.
Having like more rare JDM parts is, I don't know, it's just really cool to me. Like there's a lot of heritage in them that you don't get with brand new TEs or anything like that.
Yeah, and you got the shift knob, right? Or you haven't put it on yet or something like that?
I actually do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can grab it out.
You got the rare shift knob to match the wheels and the seats. He's a collector now.
Yeah, it was a combo deal. I couldn't say no. I'm a consumer at heart. It's not even the right thread for the shifter, and it's like, this was way too expensive too.
How much was that one? Tell him. Do you want to say?
It's $450. So I just like have a likewise shifter on there right now. And if I ever like, I don't know, this thing's not like show quality. It works, but it's never gonna be in a show. So I don't know, car meets I'll put it on. But that was just like rare part. Came with the seat. I paid for the shift knob instead of shipping. So it's like kind of got a deal, but also still way overpaying for fucking plastic.
Yeah, it's all good though. So I've seen Harrison post on his Instagram stories many times that this car has broken down on him. I just want him to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when you lower a car this much, you're gonna run into problems, like you just will. So first one, car caught on fire, like the axles sparked, and it just, here's some of the damage, like CV boot completely ripped, and that was scary, but it was fine. Found the root of the problem. Like it was lowered too much, so the axle was like rubbing through the unibody and like the chassis, and then rubbing through the alternator bracket as well. This is the most recent one. This happened like a couple days ago. Just my toe arm snapped.
That was the gnarliest one.
Which, so I was just like driving on that for a couple minutes before I could like pull in. I actually got that fixed so quick. A friend came with new toe arms. We just like got it done in the parking lot, like 30 minutes in and out. But yeah, like this entire car has just been like trial and error. This is the first car that I've built like this and like actually lowered and tried to get perfect fitment. It's kind of rocket science. Like I've literally had nights where I can't fall asleep because I'm like, okay, if I put a 5mm spacer on, a tiny bit more camp, like trying to figure out if I'm flush, like stretch like tires, all that kind of stuff. And it's a process for sure. But like put coilovers on, like lowered it as much as I can. Was like rubbing a ton. I was hitting fenders. So I got fenders rolled. Took the fender liners out in the front. There's not fender liners in the rear, so I was fine with that. And then I didn't rub anymore, but the springs were super, super soft, so I had it as low as I could be, but I'd still, like, if I chucked it into a corner, like, they're way too soft, so all the weight would go on one and it would rub. It rubbed through the hood latch, So it like popped my hood, and then I don't have that anymore. So like I can't get it to my front trunk because of that, because it was too low to rev through it.
Low life.
Yeah, luckily there's no harness running because it's mid-engine, so all the engine harness is back there. But on 240s you'll need to like tuck the harness above the chassis so it doesn't rub through. But yeah, like then once I was tired of like ugly ride height and stock springs, I just got some Swift springs. So it's a 20K rear and then 16K front, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And yeah, just like heavier in the rear because mid-engine, all the weight's back there.
Yeah, show them the wheels too, and just talk about the front sizes and the rear sizes, just so if people have an MR2, maybe they can get an idea of like what type of size of wheels to run.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure these were rebuilt in Japan because the specs on the barrels is not what they should be. Like ideally, I think 8+35, like 17.835 in the front and then 9.35 in the rear, with no spacers, no nothing, will be like perfectly flush. But I'm running like 20 or like 30 mil of spacers, and PSA, I have like 3 spacers stacked up. Don't do that. Just like go and order. I need to do this. Just order 1 spacer and just don't stack spacers.
Yeah.
Don't be dumb.
Oh, crazy.
And also, so if I have no spacers, the inner barrel hits the coilover, so I need to run spacers, or just get them rebuilt. But rebuilt is money. Don't have that. Spent it on a seat and wheels and all this shit. So. But it's a lot of trial and error. So like once I got shorter springs, put those in, and then I couldn't go as low as I wanted because like the spring was too long, and then got an even shorter one, and I need to play around with like tire size so I could actually get the fender to lip a lot closer compared to if you don't have a lot of stretch, like the tires are gonna hit the floor. So and yeah, it's an 8 in the front, so I have a 185/35 in the front, which is like it's a tiny tire, and only like one company makes it. And then in the rear on the 9, it's a 195/40, which that's an advent leave in the back, which ideally I get 9s for the front as well. And then it's actually like 2 good sticky tires. But this thing, like for how low it is and like the fender gap and clearance underneath, like I still drive the piss out of it. Like if it was undrivable, I would raise it, but like on a twisted road, it drives amazingly. This is my daily, by the way. We should have probably started with that. This is my daily. Like
he dailies this in Bend, Oregon, guys.
Yeah, and like I've driven it from Bend up to Seattle. It's like a 6-hour drive. Driven it through Portland, through downtown Seattle, onto ferries in Seattle. Like the biggest thing about this car, the fitment is good, but it's not kit low. Like I don't have a lip, I don't have side skirts, so I'm not gonna like crack anything. If I like hit my bumper on something, it's fine. It's an OEM lip. And then no side skirts, so I'm like not cracking shit. I'm just hitting my frame.
Yeah, he's just hitting frame, guys. But
just hitting my frame.
I was talking to Harrison about having a kit on this car, and like it's not like that low, but the actual body and chassis is so low. Like imagine if he had if there was a BN Sport kit for this car, it would be absolutely fucked. Like if you had an Origin kit or a BN Sport, those skirts would be literally on the ground on this car.
Yeah, which like would be cool if all of the roads were completely smooth, but they're not. So I'd like be cracking kits all the time.
Yeah, like imagine a diffuser on this, guys. This is so close to the ground. If you had a diffuser like that, that wouldn't even be big and be touching. So this car's been down quite a few times, but it also has been pretty reliable for Harrison because he does drive it. He does daily it every single day. But how much do you think you've spent on just maintenance and, you know, that kind of stuff?
Between like new tires and like new axles and then just like normal shit like alignments and oil change, it's probably like $1 to $2 grand. A lot of the replacements were like self-inflicted because I lowered it. But I'm not going to be riding around at stock ride height just to save a couple bucks. Like, we do this for the love of it, so there's like some sacrifices. And I've rubbed through brake lines before, so like I was driving over Mount Hood and lost brakes like on the top of it, and just came like 2 hours down to Bend, just like using e-brake and like downshifting.
Shit, bro.
But, like new brake lines, like alignment. When you lower a car, like there's a ton of toe in the rear, so I had like a 1.5 degrees of toe in the rear, so that ate through tires until I got an alignment. Shout out Beeline Auto, my guy Nikolai in Seattle. If you're in the Seattle area, Beeline Auto, the best. He got this car dialed. He raised the rear a tiny bit because it was literally like sitting on the axles, which is like I need to get new axles because of that, so that's another cost. But if you want reliable, don't build a stance car. Like, don't lower your car. But I don't think anybody's in this because of reliability. So
Yeah, I totally agree.
you're gonna run it.
And like Harrison said, get your alignments. I actually haven't aligned the 240 in like 3 years, and I burned through tires. I'm just freaking lazy. But that's a good thing for you guys watching this. Get your alignment done. All right, what is your favorite thing about the MR2?
It's kind of a combination between two things, but the wheels and the color. I bought the wheels the same day that I bought the car, and I actually put the wheels on the car before I'd even paid for it. So it was like, I knew that I wanted these on there, but they go together so well. And I wasn't even like, it was kind of accidental. I knew like, I love white wheels and polished lips, but it just works so well. And especially through a camera, like you guys get to see the good part of it. In person, there's a lot more flaws, but this color on camera is like amazing. I'll up my iPhone, or like if I actually go and shoot it, like the color just is really, really good. It's probably gonna be white eventually, but everybody asks like, oh, what color code is that? Or like, is that OEM color? It's like, yeah, fuck it. It's like old, crusty 90s paint. It's amazing.
Yeah, it looks super good from distance, guys. I don't mind it too much, but Harrison, it's his car, so he can kind of, point out the imperfections. I'll do it for him, actually.
Yeah,
right there. I think that paint. But, I mean, it's in pretty good condition for a 90s car.
Yeah, especially like, yeah, from a distance.
And
a lot of it's visible for sure.
What is your least favorite thing?
I mean, probably just like, it's also favorite, but just how low it is, like, it's perfect. I love it. I would never raise it, but like I said, it comes with so many problems. Like, gone through axles, caught on fire, like, it's a headache, but if you love it enough, it's a headache that's worth it. So, least favorite is probably just the reliability aspect and snapping things and the headaches of fixing it, but it's always worth it. It's always worth it.
Take notes, guys. So you're a pretty young guy. What do you do to afford this car?
Well, I'm a full-time automotive photographer, so that's where a lot of it comes from. But the vast majority was just trading cars and getting that. But yeah, photography, like I just shoot other people's cars, like I've shot your car before, and I also have a brand that I'm working on, putting clothing out for that, and I want to use that to make photo books and just a lot of really cool shit. I just love like art and creating as much as I can, so it's really nice to have a car that inspires me as well. Like, get in it, go to coffee, it's a vibe. Like, I don't know, you need to have things that you really like love and are inspired by in your life, whether that's like records or books or whatever. It's like cars for me. So
yeah, this car is definitely a vibe, and Harrison does awesome photography. Definitely check him out. And also, I think we're gonna check out some of his merch. He's got some clothes we can check out as well. And this is his brand, Style Bandits. He just started doing some prints, and Harrison also has some stickers. But
yeah, this is also stickers. So I'll restock those soon. But
and that one too. But
yeah, I recently got all my camera gear stolen from me, so I'm gonna be replacing that. But I don't fuck with like GoFundMes or anything. But if you actually fuck with the shirt, you can pick it up. It's just stylebandits.jp. It comes in brown and then black if you want it. Lots of sizes, but yeah, I just like making cool shit. So
yeah, check them out, guys. If you guys like these style stuff, show them some love, help them get some camera gear back.
Yeah.
So that sums it up with this MR2. But before we end, if you have one message to the car scene, what would it be?
Educate yourself on everything that inspired these cars. So watch option videos, watch like all the OG shit. Like real parts are really cool. They have a ton of heritage, all that kind of shit. So don't get too sucked into the fucking TikTok clout builds. Like, educate yourself on real parts, real brands, racing heritage, like all that kind of stuff. There's an endless vault of that stuff. If you look for it, you'll find some really, really cool stuff.
And Harrison and I are both really passionate about real parts and wheels. And we all started somewhere, so not everyone can afford that kind of stuff. You don't have to buy $1,800 seats like this guy right here, but they're
don't buy it. Don't max out credit cards.
Yeah, don't max out credit cards, but there are deals out there. There are good wheels that you can pick up for $1,000, $2,000. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys.